And welcome to episode 37 of the TechnoBuffalo Show. I'm one of your two hosts for today, Sean Ani, editor-in-chief of the site. And I am joined by a long-missing member of the team, executive editor of gaming, Joey Davidson.
Hello! It's been, 17 years since my last episode? I don't know. Yes. I got a broken desk chair, Sean, as you know, and it is just... Look at this thing. This is what you missed
for those listening to the audio show, he's just rocking back and forth.
It's a lot more than that, okay?
Well, for those that have thought you were dead, you are not.
No. Unfortunately, I guess.
Yes. I'm sure there are some that wish, I was dead. But, sorry, I'm still here. But, so yes,
Todd... not accepted, Sean. I'm sorry.
Todd is on his way back from Mobile World Congress after a flight delay. Well, just before we jump into everything, shall we talk about the TechnoBuffalo travel headaches for the past week?
Yeah, it's been pretty bad, man. It's just between Todd and I, and what's really been killing me is, we have 10 inches of snow that's supposed to move in tonight. It's 10 inches of snow, man.
Yeah.
It's taller than a baby. If baby is where, I don't know. It's a weird thing to compare it to, but you get what I'm saying. That's my dog.
I got stopped in Irvine from even leaving because Dallas had a half inch of snow.
Yeah, watch out.
Yeah.
We got a half inch of snow on the ground.
Yeah, and I was stuck there until Monday afternoon.
Oof.
I was supposed to fly out Saturday morning.
Well, I got everything all fixed. I know that I'm going to PAX East up in Boston, so that's everything is fixed. We're still attending the show. We got our freelancer. He's going to. We're good to go. It was just this morning was me talking to JetBlue. You try to be so polite in those situations, but at the same time, I'm kind of I know you didn't do this to me, but I got to take it out on somebody. So I feel bad.
Well, when American canceled my flight, their hold time was so long, they were like, "We'll give you an auto callback." So, and they was in more than 2 hours. I was like, "Oh, great!" So I laid down. I was just I'm just going to rest and whatever. I fell asleep. 1:30 in the morning, they finally called me back, and they expect me to be coherent enough to tell them, "Yeah, that flight situation sounds great." Yeah.
Right. It totally lines up with everything I have scheduled. I don't know. At least Hilton had some soothing calypso music for me to listen to while I was waiting, which was nice.
Oh, good grief. So, yeah, TechnoBuffalo's been having a great time with travel recently.
We really have.
But, so you brought up PAX East, and we actually have a question here from Sasha Bahal in regards to that.
Okay.
Hey, Joey, could you explain what PAX exactly is, and what is it like for those who have not gone there?
Well, okay, so PAX East is actually my favorite convention, but that's partially in part because I love the city of Boston. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. It's a really cool city. It's just old and it's clean, and everyone there is really nice. PAX, let's see, it's the Penny Arcade Expo. Have you ever heard of Penny Arcade, the webcomic? Those guys gained such a following that they were able to put on a convention. It started with PAX Prime and out in Seattle. That is their major convention, and then they started PAX East after that. We've been fortunate enough to go every single year. For someone who's never been before, if you have any experience with gaming or comic conventions, it's very similar to those. It's just gaming focused, which is really neat. If you've never been to one, it's like a giant nerd festival where people dress in silly clothes and you just go and play games. They have a whole section, I love this, of, I don't know if you're familiar with tabletop games. I know you are, Sean.
Yeah.
Like Warhammer and this. I'm talking about the crap where you buy the models that you hand paint yourself, like those. They have executive edition tabletop game tables that cost anywhere from 10 to 15 grand. They are crazy. I just like to walk through that section and think man, I am a nerd, but this is just, I don't know if I can handle this.
I had a very brief dance with Warhammer.
Oh, God.
And then realized it was going to put me in the poorhouse.
Yeah.
And so I got out of it.
You joke, but there are people who take out second mortgages and stuff just to stay into that game. That's crazy. I just like collecting Pokemon, man. I don't know about.
Well, of course, as you know, I go to England every year for vacation, and I see Games Workshop stores everywhere. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And you only ever see like one or two people in them. But one day I saw one in a mall, and there were two teenage girls that were taking painting lessons. And I was like, okay, that's not a demographic that I'm used to seeing with Warhammer.
Yeah.
More power to them.
Oh, absolutely. You know?
But
and those games are cool, man. Those games are really cool. It's just, you got to be committed.
Oh, hugely committed. It's amazing. So it's not just video games then for PAX. It's a mixture of gaming. Yeah,
it's gaming, board gaming, card gaming. I mean, I've gone and I've learned how to play really weird card games, which is cool too. Like, this is kind of getting a little bit personal, I guess. But like my friends, my family. I know you know this, Sean. We have a family gaming night, and it's not like me and my mom and my dad. It's like myself and like our 10 or so couples just come over and we drink and we play games. And so I have brought games back from PAX that we've all played and kind of laughed about, which is pretty cool too. So
who currently has the statue?
The Heather. It is in actually first time winner. We have been playing. We have a statue that goes around, and the rule is that you have to add one piece of decoration to it without removing any. And there is a girl in our group who never won it. She's like the only person that hasn't won it over the course of like a year and a half, and she finally did. So obviously, we all accused her of cheating, but whatever.
It's going to come back with a spectacular new decoration.
If it doesn't, I'm going to be pissed.
I'm particularly fond of the googly eyes. But
oh, man.
So yes, Joey will be at PAX East all this weekend, and he'll be bringing us coverage along with a freelancer that he's taking with him named Mike White.
Mm-hmm.
So you've never seen that name on the site, but you will see it this weekend. And it's always amazing how much coverage. And it's not really about the major, the AAA titles. This is much more about the indies, and that's the reason I like it, because you're talking about things that normally we wouldn't hear about.
Right, and what they do for fan conventions like this, the big publishers like Ubisoft or EA, they just send their game out with demo drivers. Like, they don't send any big name developers. They don't send any like actual people who have influence over the game. They just send people. They basically send tour guides. So you don't really glean any huge information from the games like you would at an E3. So that's why I'm more interested in the indie stuff at PAX. You actually go and you talk to the like 2 or 3 people who are making the game, and they're the people that paid for the booth, and they're the people that set it all up. It's pretty cool.
Well, I know actually Todd messaged me this morning because he had a message for you, and I just figured I'd save it for here.
Okay.
The new HTC virtual reality helmet will be at PAX. At the Steam booth.
Can Todd get us an appointment?
I will ask Todd. Todd is now finally in the air, but I will talk with him. But he just wanted you to at least know it was going to be there, and that it should be a demo unit that you can try out.
What a segue, Sean.
I know, because that
killer segue.
See why I didn't tell you before the show?
I do.
Because that leads us into our second subject, this burgeoning virtual reality market that I'm not sure it's burgeoning for the consumers, but it's definitely burgeoning for the companies that want to make these helmets.
I am genuinely nervous about where virtual reality is going. That's not because I'm not a believer in it. I think it's cool tech or whatever. That's fine. It's that I think that right now we're getting a little bit too much in the way of options. If you were alive in the 80s, then you saw the console crash. Right before the Nintendo Entertainment System became like the console, you had like 5 or 6 different platforms. Like, everyone was making consoles. Coleco, Magnavox, Atari. Like, who made the? Jeez.
There was the Intellivision, ColecoVision, the Atari 2600, the Magnavox, and
I think Panasonic. I think was making something else.
I had a Coleco.
So, which had a very weird controller. It's a little knobby thing here. It's ridiculous. I can't see your hands. I don't know what you're doing down there.
Up here.
Up here. My eyes are up here. But because of all that diversity in platforms, consumers didn't know where to turn, and there weren't enough sales to make any one platform successful. So you had all these companies putting all this money into this tech, and then it just went nowhere, and the gaming marketplace collapsed. There was this fear that home video gaming was done, dead, and then Nintendo came up, and you know what happened next. But I'm kind of afraid of something very similar happening with virtual reality. I mean, right now we have Facebook and Oculus doing their thing, Project Morpheus, and Steam VR. And the way that Steam is talking about their virtual reality stuff is that they're going to have partners. So it's not just going to be HTC that's putting out Steam VR. It's going to be every company that wants to get into it, just like the Steam machines. That's scary to me. I don't think it's good news for companies. It might be good for consumers. The cream of the crop will hopefully float to the top, but what it means in the meantime, I'm not sure.
Now, don't you think, though, that possibly Morpheus has the biggest leg up just because of the installed user base of the PlayStation?
I think that the issue with Morpheus is going to be 100% around its pricing. The way that you're going to get the PlayStation consumers to buy into Morpheus is by putting it out for cheap, and I don't know if they can do that. I think that currently the headsets that have the biggest potential for success, or at least long-term success, would be the Oculus and Steam VR. And the only reason why I put those over Project Morpheus is because if virtual reality is expensive, the only people willing to pay for it are going to be your hyper-enthusiast gamers, the people who are on PC. I'm not saying that no one's going to buy a Project Morpheus. That's ridiculous. I'm sure people will buy it. But it seems to me that PC gamers are more willing to spend money in order to get those types of products than console gamers are. They're more willing to spend more money on their platforms because they want the most out of them. Whereas PC or PlayStation gamers and Xbox gamers are kind of more content with what they have. Making sweeping generalizations here, I know that, but I just don't. I think that the biggest chance for success might be Valve. If they can get it right and price it right, then it could be huge.
Yeah, see, for me, it's very much, I have been burned so many times over the years by peripherals for consoles. Mm-hmm. Going back to the Power Glove, yes, I owned a Power Glove. I have shame in my life.
Me too, buddy. I owned a Rob.
Okay, I didn't have Rob. I had the PS2 hard drive, which was pretty much useless.
God. Wow.
Yeah. The Sega CD drive.
I had that, but that was the only way you could play Echo the Dolphin, man.
Yeah, and also, what was it, Alone in the Dark, the sorority.
Oh, yeah. It was like that. It was like that killing, the slasher game that was filmed with live action and all that.
Yeah, and starred Dana Plato from Different Strokes.
Well, I didn't know that because, that's just knowledge that you have, but I know what game you're talking about.
Yeah, the game it came packed in with Sewer Shark. Yeah.
Oh, the 90s.
Oh, I know. So, I mean, I have a long history of being burned by peripherals. And so anymore, when one is announced, I'm going to have to wait and see. And take attitude.
Taking the wait-and-see attitude is what's best for most consumers, but you also have to have the early adopters to develop a successful platform. Mm-hmm. I will say this. As someone who completely hated the idea of 3D going in, 3D televisions, and seeing where that's wound up, I'm not saying, we predicted this or whatever, but it just seems so very niche and overly expensive and unappealing. I don't feel the same way about VR. So that's a grain of salt and some anecdotal evidence there, but I think it's different. I think it will be successful. I'm just not sure how successful.
Yeah. And 3D television's a great example because it's gone nowhere.
3D. The thing about 3D that I don't think a lot of people realize is that it was designed as a gimmick to get people into movie theaters. Mm-hmm. Smell-O-Vision, when the television set came out and started to be widely popular in the 50s and 60s, movie theaters started experiencing a lot of problems selling tickets. That's when they came out with all this ridiculous crap, and 3D was one of those things. It is non-essential to viewing media. So,
for those that are not familiar with the history of cinema, Smell-O-Vision was a real thing.
Yeah.
And it was essentially you were handed a scratch and sniff card before the movie, mm-hmm. as you bought your ticket, and a number would come up on the screen telling you which block to scratch during that scene.
Sounds awesome in a scene filled with roses, and not so awesome in a scene in the gutter. So, and that was the problem that filmmakers had. Plus, people just weren't buying into these ridiculous ideas of immersion back then. 3D was kind of successful at the time, but it's always been a gimmick. Virtual reality adds something to the experience that I don't 3D adds, and that's why I think it has a good chance. There's a definite like whoa feeling when you put on a headset. How it'll work, I'm not sure, but I think it's a lot more appealing than 3D. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm definitely taking a wait and see attitude. I've said before on this show that virtual reality is just not that intriguing to me at this time. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to see something really spectacularly done with it before I'm on board.
I'll tell you this: if I was a fan of survivor horror games, which I'm a big baby and I can't handle them, I would be first in line for virtual reality. First in line. If you consider like Alien Isolation with a VR helmet, oh my god.
I'm weird when it comes to survival horror. It doesn't frighten me. It doesn't frighten me enough.
No, can't handle it. Mm-mm.
Well, this is one of those situations where it comes from. I grew up around the costume industry. I mean, by the age of 11, I knew how to make bullet holes in people's foreheads.
That's just weird.
I hung out at like age 10 with the guys who did the special effects for Poltergeist, and we like talked in detail about how they did certain shots. So,
I mean, I totally get the fact that you like have peeked behind the curtain, so to speak. But
yeah, exactly. It takes a lot to make me jump.
It's just it's nothing. I'm not scared by horror films or whatever, but nothing gets me quite like a really well done first person survival horror game. It just man.
Do you remember the first Resident Evil, the infamous like early hallway with the dogs?
Yeah, when they blast through the window and you.
Yeah. We had that in the store when I had the comic store. We had it in for rental, and we would let people, try out games.
Right.
I saw more people jump at that dog crash.
Yeah. Yeah, that was some scary stuff. And you look at it now and you're like, who is scared by this?
Yeah, but no, you have a good point. A game like Alien Isolation done with VR could be really interesting.
It could be absolutely terrifying, and I will never play it, but it could be good,
I'll take that review off your hands.
Oh, enjoy.
Well, we've got a lot of gaming questions coming in, so let's jump into a few of them here. We've got one from Matthew Lugiebel. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your last name. Do you think Valve is the key to the success of the platform? I assume he means for
Steam VR, virtual reality.
Steam VR.
Valve in some way, shape, or form has to be there, I think. I don't know if they necessarily needed to do a Steam VR, but they needed to support virtual reality in general with the Steam marketplace. They need to make a push for it in order for it to be successful. And whether that means advertising it on the homepage when you go in or putting on special sales just for VR-capable games with Oculus Rift or Steam VR moving forward, part of the big buy-in, I think, is going to be the showcasing of the games. I mean, it's always been the case. Software sells hardware. When it comes down to mass consumer appeal, unless you have killer software, your hardware lifespan isn't going to be quite as long as if you have nothing to show. And it's that promise of exclusive content that keeps people coming. It's part of the reason why I think the PlayStation 4 is doing so well. People know that stuff like Uncharted 4 is coming. It's the same thing for virtual reality. And I think Valve and Steam are going to be huge in that. Do I think they necessarily need to do their own Steam VR thing? Maybe. That's negligible. But I do think that they're going to be a big key player in whether or not it fails or succeeds.
Yeah. Here's a question that I will go hide under my desk while you answer it. From the game guy, which is better, a gaming PC or an Xbox One? I'll be over here under my desk.
No, it's an easy question to answer. In terms of sheer specs and statistics, it's your gaming PC. You're going to have more games, more horsepower available on that platform than anything else that's ever going to be out ever. But it boils down to what type of person you are, how you want to game, how much money you have. If you like things to be really convenient, gaming on an Xbox One whether you like or don't like the content is really easy. It's just booting it up and going. Like there's no owning a PC process. And I know that for people who listen to this podcast, hearing that gaming on a PC is hard is kind of a ridiculous statement. That's because you guys are all tech users and you all know how to do this stuff. But for someone like my dad, if I hand him an Xbox with just a controller, he can go, he knows what to do. If I set my dad in front of Steam, he's going to be like, I have no idea what's going on right now. So there's that. But the answer is it's PC gaming is better as a platform than anything else, but that's only if you meet the needs of very specific people. If you love Halo to death or Gears of War or the Xbox exclusives, that's the way you have to go. My answer doesn't change. It's always the same. It's all up to personal preference.
Yes, I mean, even though I've done PC gaming in the past, I prefer consoles because I just like the pick up and go aspect. I don't have time for, especially, I came from a period of PC gaming where once a year you had to buy a new sound card.
Right. Or you had to understand Unix just to get a game running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so
Steam machines are looking to solve that problem, and Steam OS is looking to solve that problem. If that comes around and they're actually as easy to use and inexpensive as Valve is hoping, I think that they could be the big answer. So.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I'm very, very intrigued by the Steam PCs. Or the Steam machines, excuse me.
Yeah, me too.
But this leads us into another interesting question and a topic I wanted to touch on with you from Sasha Bahal. What do you guys think of the newly announced Nvidia Shield console?
Sean can attest. I like Nvidia as a company. I think they're great, but I have been a naysayer of the original Shield ever since it was announced. I think we joke about it, but like the guys came back from CES when it was showed off, and they wanted to make it their thing of show. And I'm just going, I don't see the the value of this thing. Not that it's a bad platform, but that it's really niche. I feel the same way about the new Shield console. It's really niche. You can do the same thing for cheaper with the new Steam Link that they announced, which is to stream games in your own network. And the whole idea of Android micro consoles has been toyed around with Ouya, which is like $100 cheaper. You know, so where does Nvidia fit in here?
Yeah, well, and you think about it, I think this will make the fourth Android micro console because you have the Ouya, the Amazon Fire TV, and the Nexus Player.
There are more. There are other ones.
Yeah, I'm sure. But there's been three major players.
Okay.
And I've used each one for maybe an hour each as a console.
If Amazon can't get theirs to take off, there's people don't want to play phone games on televisions. And I know that there's more to it than that. I know that the platform has a lot more than that, but when they hear Android micro console, that's all they think. I think Steam Link does what you want it to do for cheaper. It's going to get your Steam library broadcast onto your TV with as little latency as possible because it's an in-home network, especially if you wire it. And that for $50 sounds much better than $200 for the Nvidia Shield console. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
It's interesting, and the fact that it's also a streaming platform. Although at this point there are so many streaming platforms, who can keep them all straight?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take a look at it, but I'm not expecting to have my hair blown back.
I don't know. Streaming presents so many problems. Latency among them. The only games right now that I'd be willing to stream would be like line by line RPGs. Like that's about it. I couldn't. Yeah. Could you imagine streaming like God of War or something?
No.
Where like button presses have to be instantaneous? No thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. From Simon Tucker, jumping forward to E3. Joey, what do you think of Bethesda holding a conference at E3? You think we'll finally see the reveal of Fallout 4?
I hope so. I don't know. The fact that they're holding a conference means that they're going to have an hour worth of content, and it depends on how they're going to handle this. When I went to see Skyrim when it was first presented at E3, at a behind closed doors thing. It was like a 45-minute showing. So yes, hypothetically, Bethesda could walk out with only one game like Fallout 4 and show it to us for an hour. And I'm sure some people would be really jammed up about that. But just the fact that it's a longer show and that they're holding their own for the very first time tells me that it's going to be something big. Fallout 4, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a new Doom, maybe a new Fallout. There goes my chair, Sean. Maybe a new Fallout. I hope Dishonored 2. I would put money on Dishonored 2 showing up. Maybe even a new Elder Scrolls, but who knows?
All I know is the last thing E3 needed was another press conference that day.
We're going to it. Here we go.
I know. Ron and I will be on Skype, maybe with Eric, depending on where Eric is working from. And oh, that's such a fun day.
At least there's food trucks for me.
Well, I'm glad somebody has a food truck. Oh, good grief. Well, we have a lot of questions here. Let me quickly... well, we've kind of already touched on this one with your series of posts about the most anticipated games of the year, but from Sasha Bahal, hey, Joey, what games are you looking forward to playing from now until the end of 2015?
Do you hear my sigh?
Yes, I did.
This is a really big year for video games. If you kind of saw 2014 as kind of a down spell, this is like the opposite of that. We ran a bunch of posts, one post for each platform dedicated to games coming up, and there's a lot of them. Personally, what's huge on my radar? I mean, right now I'm thinking a lot about Metal Gear, but that's just because the release date was just announced. And Zelda, always. I don't know. Sash, this is a ridiculous question, man. Like, you gotta understand that. Like, I am like knee deep in this stuff all day, every day. Like, all the games are on my radar. I don't know. Right now it's Metal Gear, but that's only because of all the news. Plus, I love Metal Gear, so.
Towards the end of, just so people get an idea, I think it was like, it's usually like towards the end of July, early August, you present me with the fall review spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And, you know, which author is going to cover which story, you know, and all that. And last year's list was, I think, 15, 16 games.
Yeah.
I fear what this year's list is going to be.
Well, luckily they seem to be spreading things out. March is going to be a big month, but then we have stuff like Batman coming out in June. So at least there's that, and Batman's another one. Dude, this is what I mean. Like, I could sit here and I'll be thinking, like, okay, I'm done talking about. See, just thought of The Witcher. Like, The Witcher's another huge game this year. There's a bajillion games coming out.
I am unreasonably excited for Batman.
I think that's fair. I think the fact that it picked up a mature warning has gotten me more excited than anything else. I love the way Arkham City was handled, and I loved how dark it got. And I think that going from teen to mature hopefully means something else more insane is going to happen. So,
well, and adding the Batmobile to me is huge.
I'm wary of that. I like the Batmobile, obviously, but I don't want it to ruin the corporate gameplay that makes Arkham so good. So.
I know, but I'm anxious for that one. So, in short, a bunch of games.
All the games.
All the games. I want all the games. And luckily, that's something we get to do around here.
Yes.
Changing gears for just a second, from Simon Tucker, Sean, which I have never seen anyone try to spell my name. I know it's a real spelling, but I've never seen anyone use it in reference to me. He spelled it S-H-A-U-N. What do you think of the Pebble Time and Pebble Time Steel? I got the early bird for the standard model, but I know you wear your Pebble regularly. Yes, I do. I'm sticking with just the standard Pebble Time. The steel looks really nice, but it's not worth the extra money to me. For me, it's more about the functionality than the looks of the device. So I'm fine with sticking with the basic Pebble and watching Joey try to find a happy place with his chair.
This chair is awful, man. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to negotiate here.
You need to head to Staples after this show and buy.
No, I ordered one.
So yeah, I'm just sticking with the basic Pebble. Pebble Time, excuse me. Couple time.
I just want to watch the Tell's Time, man. That's all. I know I'm like a big jerk.
Ah, you're a horrible jerk, but for so many reasons other than what you think about the Pebble Time. Uh, just okay. From Sarang Shah, do you think Lego Batman 3 is worth buying as a good TBT game? I guess Throwback Thursday game. I know I'm like a year late, but I've seen prices drop to around £10 recently, which is relatively cheap.
I don't know what TBT means in this.
I don't either, but Lego Batman 3 at £10. Obviously,
Yeah. The Lego games always have a bajillion of hours and hours and hours of content, but you just have to understand that the Lego games are pretty simplistic. If you are really familiar with the series that they happen to be playing with the game, you're going to love it. There's a lot of in-jokes for diehard fans, and Lego Batman 3 is probably the best of the Lego Batman trilogy. So
the DLC for Arrow for the latest game on Gotham, I watched a Let's Play of it. The DLC of Arrow was almost enough to get me to buy the game just to listen to Stephen Amell.
God, you are such a nerd, Sean. Oh man.
No, he was hilarious in the DLC. It's not Stephen Amell's voice is like angels singing, but no, he's just freaking hilarious. Moving over to mobile and general here first. A question from Manav9900. Do you think Apple will be doing something special on March 9, something that is not on the rumors? That is a good question. Where we stand right now, I mean, we know they're going to talk about the Apple Watch, but we already know 75% about the Apple Watch. So why hold an event for it? So you have to think there's something else in the mix. We just don't know what it is yet. Of course, we've been hearing the rumors of the 12-inch Retina MacBook Air, and there's also the endless rumors of the iPad Pro. So I think there's going to be something else. We just don't know exactly what it is yet. And of course, we'll be covering everything that happens on Monday.
You will.
Yes. Oh, fine. And from Sasha Bahal, going back to VR for a moment, what do you guys think of the HTC Vive, which is a partnership between HTC and Valve? Hopefully Joey gets to try it this weekend, and then we can talk about it more specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that HTC jumped in this. That's not the first company I would have thought of.
For some reason, mentally, I would have put Samsung in before HTC. I have no idea why. Maybe because Samsung has dabbled in entertainment tech before. Has HTC ever made anything like this?
Not like this, no. And Samsung has its own VR headset that works with its phones. But...
Oh, that's right, they do. God, there's too many stupid headsets. Oh, man.
I know, man. I agree with you 100%. I think that is going to be one of the most difficult thing is there's too many headsets and too many different platforms.
Yeah.
This actually plays back to a question that came in earlier from Matthew Legibil. I have no idea what I'm saying on his last name.
Legibil.
What's the most stylish of the VR headsets?
Project Morpheus.
I would say Morpheus. If style matters to you, I think like the problem with like the Oculus and the Samsung headsets is it's too much forward weight. You feel like your head's going to tip forward, and Morpheus looks like it's a little bit closer to the head and probably a better center of gravity.
I just think it looks cool. I mean, it looks kind of neat. I think it's the only one that's been designed with like aesthetically pleasing edges so far. All the other ones have kind of been like, this is totally a prototype. Here we go.
Now, here's a giant question from Sasha Bahal. What do you guys think is the future of gaming, especially in the next 5 or so years? Oh.
There was a lot of discussion 5 years ago about how the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 and Wii were the end of console gaming as we knew it. I think the PS4 and Xbox One especially, and even the Wii U, have all kind of proven that sentiment wrong. 5 years from now, we're still going to be playing games on these platforms. I would imagine that they're going to look even better than they do now just because that's what comes with time on these machines. And we're going to see peripherals like VR helmets. As for how successful things are going to be, I'm not sure. I do know that the PlayStation 4 is selling at a stunning rate, and I imagine it's going to keep that for a while. They're already at 20 million consoles sold, and that's borderline stupid.
Well, I told you recently, I was a huge PlayStation and PlayStation 2 fan. For whatever reason, PlayStation 3 did not really speak to me. I kind of went to the 360 during that generation. And I find myself now gravitating back to Sony this generation. I really like the PS4 with the exception of the controller. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of the DualShock.
Oh, you're dumb.
I prefer the Xbox controller, but
that's personal preference, man.
Exactly. But in general, I do find myself going back to Sony this generation, and I'm enjoying the experience, and that to me says a lot. And that I think PS3 lost some people, and I think they came back for the PS4.
Well, the PlayStation 3 wound up being the best-selling console of the generation. Excuse me. And I think part of that is because over the lifespan of the PlayStation 3, if you look at the launch PlayStation 3 and its lineup compared to what we had at the very end, it's crazy what changed on that platform. And I think it got really, like the last 3 years were exceptional. So I think that's pretty cool. But I imagine the same course of action for these new consoles now. I'm not sure which one's going to come out ahead, but the consoles are going to do well, and I see a lot of growth in PC gaming. I think I saw someone recently say that by 2018 or something, PC gaming is going to be worth $35 billion. That's a lot of money. But I mean, it's for good reason. The only thing that I hope goes away between now and then is the stupid current mobile version of free-to-play that we have. And I'm not talking about Crossy Road, which I think is a success right now, but I'm talking about the games that go after the whales, the people that are willing to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a single game. Those need to go away, and I hope they do within 5 years. So,
I think at some point those are going to have to die off. It's going to have to become a one-time fee. Like I am thrilled that I spent money on threes at your recommendation. That is one of the most engaging games I have on my iPad, and I play it probably more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I paid one time for it. I love that. I never have to think about, I have to wait an hour now, or I could buy a heart.
Oh yeah, that drives me nuts. If developers can get out of their own way and realize that if it depends on the type of game that you're making. If a game is built to be played for free, you should make it free to play without any obligation, and then just give those people who want to customize their game or upgrade it the option to do so with money. But if your game like Threes, there's no customization in Threes. The only way you can make it free to play is if you installed a timer like you're talking about, and that isn't necessary. So I just hate that. It drives me nuts. I'm so angry.
I do not disagree with you. Let me look here real quick. We've got a bunch of questions. We're not going to be able to get to them all, and I apologize for that. But we do thank you all for asking all of these. Quick mobile question with Mobile World Congress winding down from Nicholas Carter. What's the difference between HTC One M8 and M9? Better processor, different back camera. They got rid of the ultra pixel on the back and moved it to the front, and just went with a standard 20 megapixel camera on the back. HTC Sun 7, better theming. Please go to our YouTube channel and check out Todd's hands-on. He really covers everything that's different about the two devices, and it looks like a great phone. Here's an interesting question from Nav9900. Do you think Apple is good at hiding all those secrets? Does it work for you guys, or you like everything told before? With some companies, and I won't say which ones because they may not want this known, we do get materials 24, 48 hours before an event. That's awesome because it allows us to prepare. We get our posts written. We're able to go out right when they say they can, which is called an embargo for those that aren't familiar with that terminology. And that's great. And then it does create this awkward 24 hours where we still have to talk like we don't know. But in general, we do prefer that. Apple doesn't provide us with the thing. Not a word. Now, Joe, does that happen much in gaming? Is there any company like Apple in gaming where they don't tell you anything?
Maybe Valve would be close, but a lot of their releases just seem to come up out of nowhere. But it's all in who you know, I guess. There's no company quite like Apple with that stuff. But then again, there's no company that has leaks quite like Apple either. So
yeah. I will say you get much more amusing press releases and embargo letters than we do.
Yes, I do.
What was the Saints Row 4 review letter that had us laughing for like an hour?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the PR team behind that game they are ridiculous. I mean, like there was a giant ASCII middle finger at the bottom of the letter. I was just like. I don't know, man. Those guys are crazy.
Yeah, well, it's more fun than, mobile is very, very dry. But,
yes.
Unfortunately, it varies by company, but Apple doesn't provide us with a word of what to expect before an event. For all we know, they're just going to come out on stage and go, "Hi, we just haven't talked to y'all for a while. How you doing?"
I would love that. I would love that so much.
Tim Cook just comes out on stage. Hi, I was just feeling a little lonely. Thought I'd hang out with some friends. Oh, Lordy. Quick question here from the 321 show. Hi, do you have any tips for tech YouTubers like moi? Actually, John did a series on advice for tech YouTubers like a year and a half ago. You can find him on the YouTube channel. That is probably going to teach you far more than Joey or I could teach you on this show.
Correct. I'm a writer, so I don't...
But in general, just make sure you have a decent camera, good lighting, work on your presentation. I've not seen anything you've done, so I'm not saying that you have bad presentation. I'm just speaking in general terms. But just make sure you speak clearly, get your thoughts together, and go for it. You're already a step ahead of the game. I would never start a YouTube channel. I couldn't take the endless stream of hammering that John takes. I don't know how that man has grown that thick of a skin. But good luck to you. And be ready for the comments. And we'll wrap this up with one more VR question from Sachin Bahal. When do you think the consumer version of the Oculus Rift will come out? That is a great question because they've given us no indication.
Fall or spring of next year.
You think so?
I don't know. No, I have no idea. I'm just throwing that out there because that's when all the other competition is coming out. The thing about Oculus that makes that interesting now is that since Facebook is tied to it, we have no idea. No idea. I wonder if they're waiting on Facebook to come up with some user-end software. I have no idea. Before I would have made a guess at this year, but now that Facebook's involved, I don't know.
We gotta answer this one last question from Nicholas Carter. Intel or AMD?
I'm assuming he means when you're building a computer.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I mean, it's price versus power, I guess. There's no doubt that Intel's processors are better, but I also think that they're much more expensive. If you're willing to pay that difference, you will probably get a better processor. They seem to run more efficiently. AMD offers similar solutions for a cheaper price. I think unless you're a power user, if you're looking to get the most bang for your buck, maybe AMD. But Intel, if you have the money, they make really exceptional products. I have an AMD processor in my machine, and I'm up on 4.5 years on this computer now, and it's only now starting to slow down a little bit when it comes to playing games and whatever else. But that's also my graphics card and everything else. So, but yeah, I don't know. It depends on how much money you have, and all that jazz. Both have their pluses and minuses, though. So
there you go. Well, that is going to do it for this week. We thank you all for joining us, and we are glad Joey was able to finally join us on an episode again. And we'll have him on again. Let's see, 2032.
that sounds good. I think I can commit to that.
Okay, cool. We have you down for 2032 for another appearance. As always, we appreciate you joining us. You can find the TechnoBuffalo Show in the iTunes Store, where we do appreciate if you rate and review us. You can also find us on Pocket Cast. You can find us on the Stitcher app. You can subscribe via RSS feed. Anywhere there are podcasts, you can find the TechnoBuffalo Show. Until next week, I'm Sean Ani. I'm the editor-in-chief of TechnoBuffalo. I've been joined by executive gaming editor Joey Davidson.
Thank you guys for watching.
And we'll see you back here next week. Till then, take it easy. Bye-bye.